Vox Engine, the newest and now deadliest enemy that Helldivers have ever encountered. Automatons took aspects of a War Strider and Factory Strider and made them even more lethal. These monstrosities are diver deleters, alt-F4ing anyone caught in their path. To top things off, its spawn rates are mental. They are spawning almost more than Hulks, it seems. For sure more than War Striders, and if there were Factory Striders, it'd be more than those combined with tanks. So it might be pretty cool to understand how to kill them quickly. We'll talk about that and the true weak spot, which currently are the heat sinks. Break 3 on bottom or top, open up a grenade duct, and toss one in. Oddly enough, even the shield pocket bubble can destroy it if you land it, which is easier said than done. Although, there's a bit more to it than that can lead to pretty interesting outcomes. One of which is killing a full HP Vox engine using only a light penetration weapon, even though the enemy itself requires anti-tank. But first, I want to go over what Vox Engine can do to players. They're equipped with 2 sideways mounted tank turrets that fire in the similar interval as a War Strider, each direct hit being able to one-shot players. The torso where these turrets are mounted can also rotate a full 360, making it S tier at one-shot flexibility. These tank turrets can be destroyed, but it is not worth it. Their HP is ridiculous. 2 mortar launchers rest on the top of a Vox, firing anywhere between 7 to what seems like 12 mortars each, and where they land is indicated by a yellow telegraph. If you're near that, you're going to take damage. If you're directly in it, you have the chance of getting one shot. They deal pretty good damage. If you're wearing explosive resist, it shouldn't one-shot you. If you're laying down, the same sort of applies. These have pretty good range, so be wary of the yellow disco. The base has 2 miniguns mounted perpendicularly on opposite sides, rotating 180 degrees but never crossing over the treads. Basically anything listed as having medium armor penetration or higher can destroy these miniguns, except for grenade launcher. That one simply can't. Avoid the tip of the treads. These do consistent damage, not killing players instantly, but it adds up very quickly. The tracks and treads may not seem threatening, but be wary of the flying knee that phases through them at lightning speeds. Ka-chow! Contrary to other tanks, you cannot disable the treads, making them not worth shooting at unless you happen to get splash damage from your stratagems or explosive weapons. The final weapon in the Vox's arsenal is a unique spin on martyrdom. When you kill one, they eject their pilot, which is a cyborg. And this fella's in a container that's going Mach 30. If you get hit by it, you are dead. When it lands, if you run into it too quickly, if you don't give it maybe a second to sit there and rest, you will still die. So be wary of being in front of Voxes when they perish. Its heat sinks are the true weak spot, and for more than just simply the Among Us maneuver of tossing grenades in the vents. Thermite enthusiasts, do not fret. You can throw them in the bottom broken grenade vent in the middle of it, and it simply phases through. I tried spear gun in the same method. Didn't quite work though. When you break a heatsink, you're actually damaging Vox itself, to the point that Sentry can kill a Vox by simply destroying a single heatsink when it's already weak. But this goes even deeper, considering the damage dealt to destroy the heatsink in the first place is very important. The difference between a pistol breaking 6 heatsinks and Vox being pretty much okay, bit lower HP than usual, but nothing that drastic, and using the variable, which does of the most damage in one shot that can break the heatsinks, and that thing killing a Vox that's full HP by breaking 4 heatsinks by itself. I had my in-house artist go back and highlight all the important weak spots on the Vox. The heat sinks are all light penetration. There's 6 to be exact, 1 on bottom, 2 on the waist, and 3 on the torso. Towards the top is the head that looks like a heat sink. It's not. Requires anti-tank. Waist, crotch, or jondals is also anti-tank. More ideal to go for when using recoilless rifle and quasar, for example. The torso is anti-tank as well, but it's beefier, has more HP. You can destroy the speakers on top using medium pen. The Icarus launchers, I call them mortars, using medium pen. I wouldn't recommend it though. And the tank turrets are way tankier than a regular Factory Strider turret. After conducting extensive testing with Pancake and Wilson, we've discovered some pretty good weapons against the Vox. Listed in no particular order, here's how they perform. C4. 3 bricks of pain putty will kill a Vox on the jondals, both front and back, and the same applies to thermites. Throwing them anywhere else has yielded in taking an extra thermite or a C4 brick, which is a waste. If you bring both, you can use 2 C4 or 1 thermite, maybe vice versa, and that saves on resources. Taking it further, you can use 2 C4 or 1 C4, 1 thermite, and then break 1 or 2 vents. and the Vox goes down. Ideally, the bottom vents that you can see from distance. And usually, someone has an angle on the vents in a group setting, so a person can help you with that, or you can do it yourself. If you want to use one C4, you can bring the variable in ultimate mode, and I think it takes 2 vents and 1 brick of C4, or one thermite. Solo silo. Contrary to the previous statements, you can actually aim for the torso, and you're doing insane damage, to the point that you almost one-shot it. It makes it so weak that various anti-tank weapons can finish it off. 1 ultimatum shot, a single thermite, recoilless rifle, E-17, quasar, to the torso. It's finitoed. And even using railgun, with 2 decently charged shots on the torso as well. That gives you a lot more options and makes it pretty wild in a group setting when folks are taking various tools to begin with. Leveler can kill it in pretty much the exact same ways as Silo, and the difference I've heard of is that you can actually one-shot the Vox if you hit the heatsink with the projectile. Not sure that's true, and if it is, it's not particularly worth going for, because it's pretty easy to miss that shot, given how low those heatsinks can be, and there's a bug where the mortars are pretty much invisible unless you're scoped in first person. Variable. I know it sounds like unsolicited advertising, but that weapon does do pretty freaking good against the Vox, to the point you can actually snipe the vents from distance and kill it in ultimate mode. And if you're up close going to volley, you break the vents in a single button click. Ultimatum. Legend says that 2 shots to Jondals can take it out. I'm not sure if that's true because I hit the Jondals different sides and it was still alive, although a singular heatsink break afterwards did kill it, so it's doing a ton of damage. To the point it's a fantastic tool to finish the Vox. Hellbomb backpack. We're busting out the big guns because going forward, your options will be pretty situational and some have rather glaring downsides, even though they can be powerful. But the Hellbomb backpack, if you're facing Raise the Flag like many folks are, you're already in the area. You can call this a down or have it ready to begin with, and when the 17 Voxes show up uninvited, you can pop it, drop it, and run away. And any Vox within a decent range will get destroyed. I killed 2! Hellbomb backpack. The goat! He's alive! Run! Eagle strafing gun can destroy it in potentially 2 passes, which is nuts considering it has 5 uses and can be thrown decently far. Just factor in the small detail of Cyberstat investing roughly $1.2 trillion into anti-air emplacements that prevent the use of Eagles until you destroy all of them. And not just objectives, but also random emplacements everywhere. They're denying your birds of democracy from being unleashed. Gatling barrage. A single use can kill a Vox. Mileage may vary because there are other factors involved, such as building heights, the need for repositioning, and the angle in which it gets thrown in at, which can actually benefit it greatly since you have more coverage in a sense. And the major upside is orbitals aren't affected by anti-air emplacement. Toss it in whenever you feel like. Just be wary of the potential 1-minute repositioning. Although in this case, it did fire at the 30-second mark, so they saved you half the time. I don't know what's going on in that Starship story, but I think those folks get paid by the hour and their monitors are turned off. Orbital laser. Helldivers God Hand guarantees 1 kill. Potentially 2. It just depends on how long it sits there beaming the body after it's already gone, and if it's going to be targeting the tank turret on both Voxes, because if it does that, it takes a lot longer to die. If it goes straight for the torso, the back of it, that's a very fast kill. Some divers are losing their collective mind. Where's your recoilless rifle, my glorious king? The best weapon in the entire game. Don't worry, we'll talk about that. Recoilless rifle seems to take 4 shots of Jondals head on, but factor in the stationary and timed reload. You have to start thinking about the cyborgs that are cosplaying Kane from Mortal Kombat, cosplaying Jet Li, cosplaying Flint Lockwood. They'll send a flying knee straight to your doorstep, in this case the forehead, and stomp your lights out, and you're sitting there trying to reload your recoilless. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then by all means, brother, get in there. Anti-tank emplacement takes 8 to 9 shots to the Jondals, which is already a decent investment, and then you factor in it can get 2 shot by a mortar, and you along with it. So if you're not bringing a shield emplacement, you're kind of a sitting duck. That's the part about it that makes it a little rough, because I enjoy using it. I was going to put it in the good section, and I realized 2 stratagems, you're unable to move around. That's a hefty ask. Bastion tank destroyer can kill it in 2 shots if they both land on a heatsink or 3 on the Jondals. Either way, insanely fast. But there's one major problem. The damage that Vox alone is doing to the tank is irreparable. Handyman Hal and Bob the Builder cannot fix it. If you happen not to get mangled beyond repair, it's pretty fun in the Cyberstan City. Rocket and autocannon sentry. They're not terrible, but the first one goes after the torso, and the latter targets the tank turret sometimes, and that leads to pretty longer time to kills. That increases the time in which the turrets themselves can get blown up by a mortar strike or just a barrage of blasts. Either way, they're not putting in the work you'd expect if you're taking them for the larger fellers. Spear takes 3 missiles as long as they all hit the torso. If it turns and a tank turret takes the blast, it'll be a longer time to kill. Make sure when you're aiming at it, by the way, you don't go in from the top, since the tank turrets can be targeted, and those are a no-go. Instead, sweep in from the bottom, and it will go for the main torso first. Hammer can kill it in 4 swings, if you can reach it in the first place. So to do that, you must bring a hover backpack, or a warp backpack, but the warp tech is a bit forbidden. If you break the bottom heatsink, you can then teleport into the jondals, the crotch, the nether regions, and chill there. Little safe space. Hang out for the homies. And just start swinging away. 2 things stood out as being pretty terrible. One of them being the chainsaw. It doesn't do the DPS you'd expect from sawing into something. You'll be there for what feels like an eternity. The second one is all flamethrowers dealing heavy armor pen. You're phasing into nothing. You're fighting demons that you can see, but you can't harm. But they can harm you. If you want to live longer, I recommend explosive resist armor. 50% flat out, maybe ballistic padding for the 25% chest damage reduction, 25% explosive resist, and preventing chest hemorrhaging. Or go the classic medic armor for extra stims and extra stim duration. Pop that before it barrages you, and pray to whichever god you believe in. If you're playing with folks rocking ultimatums, levelers, freaking grenade launchers, those prayers may go to the voicemail, because you gon' die a lot. Comparing Vox Engine to day 1 Dragon Roaches, War Striders, Leviathans, and Flesh Mobs, it's a step in a better direction. I'm having more fun facing this than I did those previous enemies. That being said, there are some aspects that should get improved. Vox Engine is a very cool looking enemy. It's also pretty fun to kill using the secret grenade tunnel strat, or the Among Us maneuver. I will say there's a few things about it that do not make a whole lot of sense, such as it aiming into itself, just straight down at you. That should get fixed ASAP Rocky. I'd probably recommend not having the tank turrets go past their treads. They can't aim into their own treads. Speaking of which, the enemies just don't care they exist. Rockets, Cyborg, Narnia knees, and even Hulks can all simply phase through the tire treads and delete you. The Hulks will one-tap you. The ragdoll from the rockets or flying knee sends you into the tire, and you get ran over most of the time. There's no cover underneath the Vox going for the weak spot that requires you to be underneath the Vox. That feels kind of scuffed. And you also have it to where the Vox's torso can turn towards you when you're at its back and block the grenade slot. Not entirely, but for the most part. I'm not sure if it's intended, but that also feels kind of scuffed. It just doesn't really feel rewarding, considering how fast it can turn as well. On a side note, potentially increase the shield pocket bubble throwing distance. I'm tossing those things as if I'm using my feet from the frickin' front. Like just underhand foot toss. Ain't going very far. I need a bit more oomph. If the idea is to spawn a ton of Vox engines, it would be cool to have a better front-facing weak spot. Maybe you anti-tank the top little compartment that contains the pilot, and you can break something off and open up a small weak spot to where a light pin weapon can snipe the pilot's head. That'd be freaking sick. And the aforementioned aspect could actually open up the avenue for more team play. Because I ain't bringing a recoilless rifle, not my cup of tea. And if someone uses it, I can sit there and snipe the head using sensor, or diligence, or even assault rifles. It's a synergistic aspect that gets 2 players doing the same thing. Whereas for Voxes, it's not so much skill as it is just tossing the kitchen sink of explosives and hoping it lands. In conclusion, shoot the yellow glowing heat sinks if you can see them. When using anti-tank, go for the jondals or crotch betwixt the treads. And if you're trying to kill them quickly, you want to bring things that do a ton of damage in a single use. Strafing run, just watch out for anti-air. Leveler is pretty much the best in slot. And orb laser as I suppose a failsafe that could potentially kill 2 fellers. And from there, just try and survive. I think Vox, overall, pretty good enemy. Not perfect by any means. I've already listed the improvements, but I'm having a decent time playing against it, at least right now. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. If you need some stainless steel pans, the link down below. It's not sponsored, it's an affiliate link. Like the pans, use them every day. And if you want some merch of some kind, even custom-made stuff, you have a company, a bunch of fellas that want a bunch of hats, my blood brother makes hats and other stuff at outwestthemes.com. Anywho, have a good day. You guys doubted me, but now you sit before me unaware of the damage. The Midnight Meat Pounder strikes at the opposite of noon. 1 pounding. Double pounding. Okay, we're still going. Interesting. This is quite peculiar. He's still alive.
Hey.
Efficiency.